Pope Leo XIV has finally broken his silence. For the first time since his election, the new pope has taken a public, concrete step on one of the most sensitive and divisive issues facing the Catholic Church today, the traditional Latin Mass. For months, traditional Catholic communities have been living in uncertainty. From dioceses in Texas to cities like Charlotte and Detroit, the faithful attached to the ancient liturgy have endured silence, suppression, and unanswered questions. But on May 28, 2025, something changed. From the heart of the Vatican came a surprising decision. Through the appropriate offices, Pope Leo XIV approved a 2-year extension allowing the Latin Mass to continue at the parish of Santa Margarita in San Angelo, Texas. It may seem like a small detail to outsiders, but to those who love the traditional Latin Mass, this is more than an exception. It's a signal. It's a crack in the wall, a moment of hope. Cut to title screen. Pope Leo XIV breaks his silence. What this means for the future of the church body, voice steady, narrative unfolding slowly. This is the first public decision made under Pope Leo's pontificate that touches the status of the 1962 Missal. Until now, he had left untouched the liturgical restrictions imposed by Pope Francis, especially those defined in the 2021 document Traditionis Custodes. That document, and the subsequent tightening of restrictions, brought confusion and grief. Too many traditional masses were moved out of parishes. Priests were forbidden to celebrate them without special permission, and entire communities were forced into the margins, treated as though their devotion was a threat. The extension in San Angelo changes the tone. The permission was confirmed by Bishop Michael Sis, who obtained it directly from the dicastery for divine worship. The decision allows the ancient Roman rite to continue legitimately and publicly for 2 more years. It's temporary, it's cautious, but it's real, and that matters. Father Ryan Rojo, Director of Vocations for the Diocese of San Angelo and a key figure in the local traditionalist community, responded with public gratitude, not polite formality, genuine thanks. He saw it not just as administrative approval, but as a human and spiritual sign. The Pope is listening. Tone builds slightly, sense of change for too long. The traditional Latin Mass has been treated like a problem, an inconvenience, something to tolerate or suppress. Back to the average Catholic, it might seem distant or overly ceremonial. But to those who love it, the ancient Mass is not nostalgia. It's the Mass of saints and martyrs. It's their spiritual home. It's this small extension in one small parish in Texas breaks the cycle of silence. It says perhaps in a whisper, but still, clearly tradition is not dead.
Not yet.
Shift to broader context. Connecting the dots, this move by Pope Leo comes at a moment when the Church is deeply divided, not just over liturgy, but over identity. Around the same time, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, a well-known and often polarizing figure, released a powerful public letter, and he didn't hold back. In the letter, published on the feast of Saints Peter and Paul, Vigano directly addresses Pope Leo XIV. He appeals to him not just as a bureaucrat, but as the successor of Peter. He urges him to restore the traditional Latin Mass not just for the sake of ritual, but for the sake of the Catholic soul. Vigano sees the Latin Mass not as an option, but as the authentic expression of Roman Catholicism. He argues that the suppression of the old rite is part of a larger sickness in the Church, a hostility toward the sacred, a rejection of heritage, a desire to reshape the Church in the image of the modern world. Quoting Vigano briefly, tone deepens. Vigano quotes Dante, writing that Christ is Roman in the mystery of salvation. He speaks of Latin as the sacred language of the Church. He warns that those who despise Latin often despise what it represents: unity, reverence, and doctrinal clarity. He accuses modern church leaders, especially those aligned with the post-Vatican II, reforms of reducing the liturgy to a performance show. He challenges Pope Leo to reject what he calls the Bergoglian excesses of the previous era, and to reclaim the dignity of the Church's tradition. It's a strong letter. Whether you agree with his tone or not, the pain it reflects is real. Scene shifts, subtle contrast, But while Pope Leo opens this small window to tradition, something else is happening, something that feels deeply contradictory to many faithful Catholics. At almost the same time, the Vatican announced plans for a new liturgical initiative, something called the Mass for the Care of Creation. The title sounds good. It promotes environmental awareness, which is important. But for many Catholics, it raises an uncomfortable question. Why is a new liturgy built around environmental themes being celebrated with more freedom than the Mass of the Saints? This new liturgy is being promoted by Cardinal Michael Czerny and Monsignor Vittorio Viola. Both are known allies of Pope Francis's environmental agenda. Viola in particular has been associated with efforts to restrict the traditional Mass. He is also said to wear the episcopal ring of Annibale Bugnini, one of the central architects of the post-conciliar liturgical changes. Symbolism matters, and to many, this sends the wrong signal. The Mass rooted in centuries of Catholic life is restricted. Meanwhile, new liturgies built on contemporary issues are welcomed and celebrated. For many Catholics, this doesn't feel like inclusion. It feels like exile. Refocusing on Pope Leo, tone hopeful but serious, and this is where Pope Leo XIV stands between two roads, between past and future, between fidelity and innovation. He can choose to remain cautious, to offer small gestures, occasional exceptions, without ever truly addressing the wound that Traditionis Custodes opened, or he can choose a different path, a path of restoration, a path that doesn't merely tolerate tradition, but honors it, protects it, welcomes it as a living part of the Church. The traditional Latin Mass is more than a liturgical form. It's a symbol of continuity, of sacrifice, of sacred silence, and it is deeply loved by millions. If Pope Leo truly wants to be a shepherd for the entire Church, he cannot leave this part of his flock in the shadows. Closing tone strong, prayerful, this 2-year extension in San Angelo is a good beginning, but it cannot be the end. The faithful need more than gestures. They need a sign of trust. They need to know that the Church has room for the old as well as the new, that reverence and tradition are not enemies of unity, but its foundation. Pope Leo has the opportunity to bring healing not just to traditional Catholics, but to a Church struggling to remember who she is. The path forward is narrow, but the light is not gone. What happens next will shape not only this papacy, but the Church for generations to come. Pray for Pope Leo. Pray for the bishops. Pray for courage. And pray that the Holy Mass in all its beauty and truth will never be silenced again. God bless you. Would you like this formatted as a transcript PDF, converted into subtitles, or broken into chapter segments for video editing? I can also help craft a part 4 if you'd like to continue this unfolding narrative. Ask ChatGPT.